So in the last two videos I've just been showing building stuff, and I decided I'd just do a quick overview of what's done so far and a little bit about the plane. So on the front here, our engine, we're running an NGH GT-T70 engine. It came with the ignition unit, the carburetor, and the engine itself. It runs about 1,000 to 7,000 RPM, and it runs a 35:1 fuel oil mix ratio. The prop I'm running at the moment is a 23/8. And on the carburetor, we've hooked up just a temporary throttle for the run-ins. Once the run-ins are done, I'll be replacing this with a cable, just a pull cable, seeing as the carburetor is sprung, loaded, closed. The choke lever will be just a handheld cable down from under the cowling, instead of being a servo-driven choke. I've ordered a spinner for it, and the cowl, I've designed that up in CAD, so I'll show you that at the end of this video. So with the ignition, it's got the two leads out which go into the spark plugs, and it's got your power in from the battery, and it's also got a tacho out cable just here, and I'll be hooking that tacho out up to my telemetry sensor so I can read the RPM on the controller. It'll be quite important for the engine run-ins. That battery line runs into just in here with the, this is an optical switch essentially, so I can have it on the receiver as well and turn the ignition off by the receiver. The receiver will be going pretty much smack bang in the middle where all these servo cables are coming to. So we've got two elevator ones that run from all the way down the back. The throttle and rudder servo cables coming up here. The ignition cutout. We've got the right hand flap, right hand aileron, which just go over to here to a 6-pin MPX connector, and same for the left hand side. And the fuel tank will be being put down on the floor down in the front of the cockpit, close-ish to the center of gravity as I can get it. I've got a line here for the center of gravity, so once I get the wings on, I'll be picking it up from that point and seeing how balanced it is now that I've got these 40mm extensions on there. I have been searching this model up online. All the models I find don't have this extra box section, but all the firewalls start from here and are only about 2 inches from the windscreen. If you can find the one that has this box, send me a link, put it in the comments, because I'm struggling to find it. Onto the center wing, it's held on the front there by two dowels, which go into these two little slots at the front here. We've got our leading edge spar and our rear spar there, and the rear's held on by two screws. As for the wings, I keep them in these wing bags, which were made up by my sister. Thank you very much, Adri. It's got the tough canvas on the outside to protect it, and some nice soft fabric lining on the inside there to protect the covering on the wings. The wings have both flaps and ailerons, so we'll get these wings on and I'll show you how that's done. Well, all the flight controls, aside from the flaps, work perfectly as I intended for them to work. However, the flaps, I can't reverse one of them, so it's always going to be opposite to the other one. What I might do is research some new firmware out for that controller. So the weight and balance wasn't quite perfectly on where I wanted it to be, where I measured, but acceptable. Once I get the battery in the front here and the fuel tank and a few more bits and pieces, it'll likely bring it a little bit more forward. So here I am in Fusion 360. I downloaded this and I had no idea what I was doing. I did a few YouTube tutorials and I started off with the front of the plane. This was the easy portion, and once I got it all, I realized that actually it's got a angle on the engine, slightly to the right, slightly down. So I measured all four corners, put that angle in, and then made up the spacer that's going on there. This is the spacer design that I actually want, not the 4 posts design. I'll eventually go to this, but for now I'll just stick with the 4 posts with the engine run-ins and everything. Once I had that on, I got the drawings of the engine and put them on here. Once I had those on there, I could start designing. So I had the bottom one, which is offset with the angle. Once the angle was set on the bottom one, I set the front one to that, and I've done a couple of measurements, and this is pretty much exactly where it would sit on the actual plane, which is pretty much centered in the off the main firewall there. After I drew around this a few times and went around, I ended up coming up with this. So the engine fits in there nicely. So if we put the engine in there, spark plug with the leads on should fit. And from the bottom, I've cut out the exhaust holes as well as the little choke hole here. You can see the choke lever just here, and made some nice air intake holes and the main hole for the prop washer to go through. If I take off the front of the plane there, we can have a look from the inside, take with the spacer. I had to make room for the exhaust up here as well, so I actually designed the exhausts in here as well, just so I was sure that it would fit properly, and that should be exactly where the exhausts actually sit. So that's the drawing of the exhaust. You can see it's pretty much lined up, and then on the bottom as well. So I'll be 3D printing this in multiple pieces, and once it's 3D printed, the 3D printing will actually be the casting, so or the mold, and then I'll fiberglass over that to make the cowl that's going on the plane. This is currently cut into 2 pieces, so top and a bottom, which I can move around, and I'll probably 3D print the top into 2 pieces and the bottom into 2 pieces, and then glue them together to make the mold. And then once that's done, do the casting and then fit and test on the plane, and that's when I'll cut out the front and the exhaust holes and everything to line up with the engine. For now though, I need to do more designing on this. I need to design the bottom flap here for the cooling air, or to get the cooling air to escape, which needs to be depending on what design I get, I'll try and get to 3 times. I'd say it's probably going to be more like 2 to 3 times ish, 2.5 times. But once that's all designed up, I can 3D print it. I'm not sure if I'm going to 3D print it with the flap there, or just 3D print it like this and then cut the flap out and then make it on the fly. But yeah, this is the cowl. Thank you for watching. Like this video if you do, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment below letting me know what you think. See you in the next one.